of Sims Road. Okay. Everything above it is basically designed, allocated, and on the way. That's essentially the golf course. South of Sims Road, there is the usual, dune, wetland, etc. But basically nothing has been built. Now from the road, you think the north of the road has been built because you keep seeing things. Well, there's this and that and the pizza joint. Well, there's really nothing. Very little has been built, and most of it, with the possible exception of the Villaggio, is what I would call first generation construction, which is you can count on it being demolished probably in 20 years, and just replaced with something of higher value. So this is a tremendous piece of land that's actually available and very, very close. By the way, this is the kind of land that the seaside pattern makes valuable, because it, as opposed to the current pattern in which the front is valuable and the back is nothing. Okay, so next. Now, we took the plans that were already in process, what was already had been filed, all these different things, and we drew them in. And there was this fellow here, just to the west of Villaggio, and there are 2 pods and tennis courts and a few pavilions and a separate entrance. There's this stuff, which actually is quite advanced, and it belongs to WCI, and you can see it's not coherent, and it has basically a road that is either has already been permitted or is very close to being permitted that takes them to Perdido Key Drive. And then there's this guy here with his independent thing, and this guy here with the independent things. And you can see what I was speaking about earlier. Everybody's doing their separate thing in kind of major... One of the problems, of course, is how incredibly confusing it is to be in curvilinear streets all the time, right? If you don't have a GPS, you can't find an address. That's very typical of planning, which is on very small increments of land, and you have to simply go around the wetlands and go around itself and bring everybody back to the single entry. And that's why we need GPSs in Florida. You can't find an address. Okay, so this is the land ownership, and really what we're proposing here is something of extraordinarily difficult, which is to get all these landowners on the red lines to work together. What is behind here on this land are the roads and the lots and the town centers and the wetlands and the mouse habitat preserve, and you can see that miracle of miracles, it's coherent. Okay, the roads connect, the residential gives to 1, 2, 3, potentially 4 town centers. There are predictable crossings in 2 places. The habitat is absolutely coherent, right? The mice can actually go this way with crossings here. They can go this way with crossings there. Okay, this does not happen with everybody working independently. Now, what is the problem with this? Do you have a colored one? What is this? Okay, I'll give you some properties. WCI are the people who we have to deal most with. Not only because they have the most land, but because they have the connections to the beach, as I said earlier. By the way, Greg of WCI has been there the entire time, and after some skepticism, which lasted a couple of days, absolutely top cheerleader. It's very well understood what's happening, and we're not cutting across any of his existing plans, because it took so long to get these streets in and so forth, that we actually kept the trajectory. Now, there are 2 things about the WCI land ownership. They have a hotel here, potential, and I mean, that would be a fantastic thing. That's your first hotel, but miracle of miracles, they also have the land in the back, which they were going to use for parking, and I'll get over that. They also own 2 lots here, and there's an out parcel in the middle, but they might play together, particularly if they get high reward system for that, and so there's another possibility of another town center here. Okay, so let's see that. Now, before we go anywhere, we're going to try to incentivize all these landowners to work together by pre-mitigating the mouse habitat, and pre-mitigating the studies and pre-mitigating the intersections, so you have a predictable environment. But if they don't want to play, if they say, no, I want to keep my flexibility, we believe the planning department at the very least should say, yes, you can do what you want, but these roads in red, you don't have to follow this plan, but these roads in red have to be in there. Because these roads in red are what connect, basically they give you the secondary and tertiary connections, so that not everybody has to be in Perdido Key Drive. You know, you can actually bypass Perdido Creek if you're a resident, you know these roads are back there. But secondly, these roads going through are the way that people who live here can get to this or that town center. And the fact that one landowner can clip them is simply not planning, okay? And there's nothing unusual about this. Roads are designed by the planning departments. It's absolutely the minimum you can do. So what I would say is that this is phase one planning. These roads are to be as they are. These are the wetlands to be preserved. That is to be as it is. And if you want to tinker around with this, fine. But this plan will be pre-mitigated. Now, you have to say, well, that takes my flexibility away. In this case, you're dealing with some of the planners that actually laid out the highest real estate value for Florida. So unlike the usual thing of, why should I trust this guy? You know, he's got an accent, oh my God. You know, all that stuff. I actually happen to be a developer's architect, so I know that this works. You know, I don't cut across that. I know about marketing and so forth. So actually, there's a very good likelihood that this plan will move forward much, much faster than people shopping around cul-de-sacs, you know, which are interchangeable with everything else in Florida. Next. Okay, now this is the Perdido Beach Key Mouse overlay. Yeah.
Yeah. These are not bypass streets.
No,
There's a great diversity of travel on the street right now, but it's made up of the long trips where somebody comes in at the airport and gets 6 rental cars for a family reunion in Alabama, and they would go right through, right? But there's also the person that lives in this particular unit right here that just wants some potato chips and a 6-pack of beer. See? So they get out there and they go down here and they forage a little bit and they may have to go over here. But that keeps that local trip off of this main road, especially during June, July, and August.
Yes.
It's a diversity of travel for a diversity of travel.
and also, for the kids, they don't need to be driven around by the parents, because all of these will be traffic calm streets and they can get to the town centers. You see, it's two completely different conceptions. Very, very slow speed streets. Now people say, oh, I'll never buy a unit. I'll never buy a unit on a street. You know, that's like that. The highest real estate in Florida, in the world, is on streets. People like, have you heard of Hollywood, California? You know, Coral Gables, Florida. You know, there are several places called Paris and so forth. They have the highest real estate, and the buildings are on the street, so long as the streets are traffic calm. Now, if they're high-speed streets, of course, then you have to only back your units to them. What has ruined Florida is that the thoroughfares are designed for high speed, so they lower the real estate value and everybody has to face away from them. But if you look at the earlier model, you know, the most valuable places of all, Naples, Florida, all this, they actually confront the streets. So you have to imagine these as actually being the kinds of streets that we design that are good for people. Okay, next.
Low noise also.
Low noise. It's just about getting the traffic down to 20, 25. That's really what it is. Yeah. Next.
I mean, you actually see that also on Perdido Key Drive, that the units, there aren't even apartment buildings or condos that face Perdido Drive. Most of them are single loaded, which is incredibly inefficient, and they all face the water. None of these units have deemed Perdido Key worthy enough to face some units on Perdido Key Drive.
Yeah. Even though the golf course is quite nice looking,
Yeah.
you can see water beyond.
Yeah.
It's very nice. We're in condos on the WCI property, and it's beautiful to look down. It's not bad at all. Okay, now this is the beach mouse habitat, and what we propose, we're trying to minimize it, but remember, we have every 5 years, we have 12 acres to be mitigated. And so what we did is we calculated what the footprint of likely buildings are, and likely parking lots, and likely driveways, even the driveways. And we found out that to create this plan, of course, we stay out of the wetlands on the whole. There's, of course, a little bit of mitigation. Go back to the red. Okay, what we're proposing is the amount of beach mouse habitat that needs to be mitigated here, just here, right, Mike? Not here?
Yeah.
Correct, yes.
Just here.
Yes.
Okay, over here, 21 acres. 21 acres, which means this is a 10-year plan. You still have another 60-something acres to go, but 21 pre-mitigated in this master plan. And as I said, the reward system is, if you follow this plan, you're pre-mitigated, you can go. If not, please try to begin interviewing lawyers with influence in
Tallahassee.
where in Tallahassee or Washington. Okay, so there you go. These are the wetlands, we're minimizing them. And this is the illustrative plan, this is an illustrative master plan of this area. It's hugely open space. Okay, all of these dunes and brushland and so forth are when we pull together the mouse habitat and the wetland together. And so here you have the crooked streets, the town centers that connect, you know, the big one here at the intersection, which I'll show you. This is the Villaggio, which always forms part of, which by the way is kind of dead now because there's no reason to enter, because there's no anchor at the back. For example, the sports bar doesn't get all the traffic it should because nobody drives past it and so forth. And this Villaggio always forms part of our plans. It just becomes part of the street system. So there's 1 center, 2 centers, 3 centers, 4 centers, 5 centers. This one here is also developed and it's for the hotel. This is the road that the WCI community has coming in like this. They would park on the other side. Okay, remember, there's not enough room to park on this side of the hotel. The parking's on the other side. But instead of having a kind of Walmart parking lot without the Walmart, which is what it would look like, we put the parking in the back of the shops. Do you see the parking fields in the back? So the people who park here would get out of their cars, walk past shops and squares, and then get to the hotel. So you actually have a shopping experience which activates, you know, people are saying, does the retail have an anchor? Well, you know what, parking is an anchor, the hotel destination is an anchor. If you separate them, you can turn what's normally a problem into a virtue. Because that distance is what everybody has to do, and they get to see the shops and so forth.
On-street parking also.
And on-street parking to buffer things. Yes, there's a huge amount of on-street parking. So let's see what else happens. Okay.